really haven't heard much about Paul recently, ever since the whole controversy when he went missing and Karine came out and said that he was dead, and then it came out that he was just allegedly missing on some island for a few days. Then I remember not long after that, he popped up and did a random interview where he was talking about how he was doing OF content with Karine's male cousin, where they're taking turns penetrating each other, and he was proudly bragging about it. Then we really didn't hear much from Paul for a while, and just a few weeks ago he posted this girl on his stories, and he encouraged his big following to go message this girl and put out her full name, and he's like, yeah, you guys need to help me find my children. She has my 2 children. She's not contacting me. So I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, is this like an Amber Alert situation? And then come to find out that's actually his cousin, and she currently has custody of Paul and Karine's 2 children. And he shared more life updates of what he's been up to recently. Check out the Dominic Natty show on YouTube for the full live, and also on his Instagram. I will leave them linked in the description. But pretty much Paul said that he is currently single, and he's still legally married to Karine at this time. He said that neither one of them have filed for divorce, and he claims that Karine is in his house in the United States driving his car, and he said that he's back in Brazil, and he said that him and Karine get along great. They actually talk on the phone every single day. Karine's dating a guy that she's been with for a little while. Paul said that her boyfriend was a guidance counselor at one of their son's school, and Paul said that the guy that Karine's currently with is a huge step up from her ex, because Paul claims that Karine was allegedly dating a drug dealer, and he claims that it got so bad that he had to come back to the United States at one point for a few months because she was dating this guy, and she even had to go to the hospital allegedly after she took too much of something that this guy gave her. He did say, though, that Karine has been doing a lot better than she was. He said that she's dating a decent dude, according to him. She's been working nights full time, and she's currently going to school. And Paul was even accusing Karine of dating an SO, an SEX offender, those people that got to register every single month. He said she was allegedly dating one of those before she got with a drug dealer. But now she's dating this guidance counselor. She's been doing better. Paul claims that when him and Karine were together, he said that she was constantly cheating on him. And he said that he has been dating since he's been in Brazil. He said he's been with this girl since like 2022, but they're currently on a break, and she's a little younger than him. He's 40 and she's 21, but honestly they're probably close to the same maturity level, because it seems like Paul has the maturity of a teenager, so this 21-year-old girl is probably more mature than he is. But he said that the last time he's seen the kids is when he took Pierre with him, and we all remember that fiasco. Paul ended up taking Pierre out of state, and that's when they had that big missing child report out, and it even made TMZ, because Paul didn't come back in time with his child, and then he stayed even longer with his child at first instead of returning him, because he said that he was scared. Paul claimed that he ended up meeting some guy that was in the Navy, and he felt bad for Paul, so he ended up buying him a hotel room for almost a month. And Paul said he eventually returned Pierre. They canceled the missing child report. And Paul said that was the last time that he's seen his kids. And that was back in July of 2022. So it's coming on almost 2 years since Paul last seen his kids. And I really appreciate Dominic Natty, because he's not scared to ask the hard questions. And he straight asked Paul, because Paul kept saying, I want to get my kids back. I'm fighting for my kids. But then Dom was like, well, how are you fighting for your kids living in Brazil? Like, how does that work? And Paul claims that he has to live in Brazil because the money is a lot better there and he has more opportunity. I think the main reason Paul wants to be in Brazil is one, for the women, and just because his money stretches out a lot further there. I guess in Brazil, $1 in the US is $5 in Brazil, so 5 times of what he would have in the United States, he has in Brazil. So with him doing all his cameos he's been doing, and I was surprised because I actually saw a few people in the comments of this interview saying, "Oh, I just bought a cameo from Paul," and I didn't even think people were still buying cameos from that guy. He does offer his cameos for a lot cheaper compared to other people from 90 Day Fiance. He only charges $15 per cameo, and he's done over 1,059 cameos. So that's over $15,000 in Brazil. That's 5 times in Brazil. So that's like over $75,000 in Brazil money. That's not bad at all for somebody living in Brazil. And like Mary and Brandon, they only charge $5 a cameo. But typically, most people on Cameo are charging at least $40, $50 per cameo. Some people even charge $100 plus. People are probably still getting cameos from him because how cheap he's charging, and he does promise 100% satisfaction guarantee, or he'll make them a whole new video. But then he was asked about Karine and has she seen the kids, and he says that Karine was supposed to have a hearing for supervised visits, but they had to put it off because Karine didn't have a translator. So they put the court date off, and then his cousin had a hearing and she was granted custody. And Karine hasn't seen the kids at all in over a year, according to Paul. But he said that she has yet to be approved for supervised visits, and he feels like that's not right because he said that Karine has been doing everything she needs to do to get the kids back. He claims that she was going to multiple parenting classes a week, she was going to counseling once a week. He said she was checking all the boxes that CPS wanted her to. He said Karine went to college, she quit dating the drug dealer, she took all the classes, and he figured that she would be in an okay position to get the kids back by now. And he's confused why she's still not allowed to have custody or at least supervised visitation. I think CPS just lost all trust when it comes to Karine because I'm pretty sure last time she had the kids, she was not allowed to bring them around Paul, and it was the same with Paul when he had the kids, he wasn't allowed to bring them around Karine, but they're constantly sneaking behind CPS's back and seeing each other and breaking the rules, and I think they just finally had enough. Especially after all the trauma these children have endured just in the first few years of their lives. And Paul said his cousin currently has custody of his 2 children. And Dominic asked him if he has been giving money to his cousin to help support his kids. And Paul was like, I wanted to give her money, but she told me not to worry about it. And he claims that she doesn't want no financial help. And I don't know, even if someone says no, I would still want to help out financially. Like, I would just be like, give me your address. You're going to take this check. I don't know. I just feel like even if someone says it, she may just say that out of the goodness of her heart. But it'd just be hard for me to have kids and not want to provide for them. Especially with that's your cousin who stepped up when she didn't have to, and Paul was trying to downplay it, saying, "Oh no, they're good off. They have their own business. They make over $1 million a year. They have another child." And he was just pretty much downplaying that they need any kind of help to begin with, and that they're in a way better position than he is. And he was asked if Karine's currently pregnant because I guess there's been rumors she's pregnant. I haven't heard those rumors, but he was asked about it, and he said that Karine's not pregnant. She currently has an IUD, last he knew. And then he was asked if him and Karine are ever going to come back on the show. Like, maybe he might come back for a Single Life spinoff or something like that. Paul said that Karine's banned from the show for life because she accused Sharp Entertainment, and that's pretty much the company that does 90 Day Fiance, Love After Lockup, and he claims that she accused Sharp Entertainment of trafficking her and driving her to want to unalive herself. But that's part of the contract. When you sign the contract, like, you are claiming any kind of responsibility for anything that may happen with your mental health. Sharp Entertainment makes sure that they dot their I's and cross their T's when it comes to covering their butts in these contracts. And she made some pretty shocking claims towards TLC. So after that, they cut her off. But Paul believes that there's still some hope for him, maybe returning one day. He was asked if he could come back on the single life, and Paul said that TLC pretty much told him that they want him to take care of all this stuff with the custody and the kids, and they told him that once he gets all that resolved, then they'll consider revisiting him and bringing him back. But allegedly, he claims they don't want to interfere with the custody battle or have any kind of influence in it. And I don't know, I think it's just safe to say that they probably aren't planning on bringing Paul back, and they probably wipe their hands clean of Paul, especially after all the videos that came out with all the DV incidents between him and Karine. I think Sharp Entertainment just does not want anything to do with that at all. So then Dominic asked Paul if he could be with anyone on the show, 90 Day Fiance, who would it be? And you are not going to believe Paul's guess. He said he would be with Angela. He admitted that he even slid in Angela's DMs when she finally started having issues with Michael. He's like, oh my God, this is my chance. But he claims that Angela just pretty much left him on red. But he pretty much was like, hey, if she wants to make something happen, I'm down for it. He said he thinks Angela is good looking. And I don't know, just imagine Paul and Angela together. That would be a freaking train wreck. Like, Angela, I just don't get it. What part of Paul makes him look at Angela and say, oh yeah, that's the one right there? Like, Angela is going to be straight having Paul running out into the woods like he did when he was with Karine if he gets with her. When Paul was saying that Karine got fired because she made these claims against Sharp Entertainment, I can't remember 100%, but I remember a while back when this initially happened, I could have sworn that she was blaming that stuff on Paul, not Sharp Entertainment. I could have sworn that Paul was the one she was claiming that drove her to want to hurt herself, and she was coming out and claiming that Paul was the one trafficking her because he was forcing her to do OF against her will. Then Dominic asked Paul if Karine has any STDs, because I guess that was a rumor as well. And Paul said that I guess when CPS got involved with their family, they immediately wanted to drug test everyone, Paul, Karine, and the kids, and they also had a mandatory STD check. Paul claims that he came back, he was in the clear, there's nothing in his system, no diseases, but he claims when they tested Karine, he claims they found multiple diseases, and he said it's not like a disease you can die off of, but it's something that she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. And he even went as far to say that when Karine gave birth, she ended up passing one of those diseases onto their children. And I'm just like, man, like TMI, why are we throwing our children under the bus at this point? I think Paul instantly regretted it after he did admit to that, because he instantly said, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I feel uncomfortable. And that was the end of them talking about that. But there's a lot more they talked about in that interview as well. Paul accused Karine of putting ice in his Dairy Queen and trying to hurt him while they were together. And he made a lot more shocking accusations. And if you want to check out the full video, like I said, you can check out the Dominic Natty Show on YouTube or the Dom Natty Show on Instagram. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Check out my lashes and cosmetics at AccordingtoAmber.com. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.